It was a good day for the Giants. They didn't play. The Redskins lost, and the Eagles lost. Cowboys did win, but they're ways back. Do you look at that as an advantageous weekend? Did you watch the games? Did you take note of those scores?
Oh, I certainly did watch them. You know, sometimes you try on the bye weekend not to end up from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 11 o'clock at night. But because of the nature of those games and the fact that they were at 1, no doubt we watched a good portion of those 2 games and then caught a lot of the Dallas game as well.
So I'm sure you're focused more on yourself right now. Was that a good time for the bye for you?
Well, you know how I look at it is those are things I don't have a whole lot to do with. So whenever it comes, it comes. And the fact that we had played 10 games was a good time for us. We needed the rest. We needed to get away from it a little bit. A lot of these young guys were, straining just a little bit because of having played 14 in a row. So it was a good time for us. And to be honest with you, it's the latest that I've ever had a bye.
Now, on the flip side, Coach, people would say they played so well against the Patriots. You want to build on that, get right back out on the field. Was that the negative of the bye being after that game?
There's no doubt. That's the way. But I prefer to look at it as if, maybe some of these guys that are nicked up to a certain extent can get back. And that's what you're always hoping for.
Now, I'm not even going to go to any comparisons between this team and 2007, Coach, but were there any similarities where you can take pushing the best team in football to the limit and trying to garner some momentum from that going forward?
Well, you certainly can do that, and I think that's been volunteered by a lot of people. However, then was then, now is now, and we really do have to start playing at a higher level, a better level, with more consistency. We did a nice job the other night, but we didn't win, and there were many opportunities. Obviously, we had the ball in the end zone in a controversial play, and I went back and looked at the Golden Tate situation, which established a precedent, I thought, about catching the ball, having both feet down, and so on and so forth. But that's something that has been controversial for a number of years, and I'm hoping we can get a clearer understanding of what exactly it is.
Now, Coach, you've used this phrase a lot this year, just finish.
I've used it for a lot longer than just this year.
Okay.
And I understand it, Michael. I know where you're going, and we haven't done it. We haven't done it enough, and we get in a position where we want to score a touchdown. I mean, that's the obvious. There's no doubt about that. We end up coming away with a field goal, and that you've left yourself on solid ground with the great kickers there are out there today. And but however, we did have the ball in the air down the middle of the field with a chance just to catch the ball and be out of there, and we didn't do that. So that would have finished the game and put us in a better frame of mind.
And there's such wacky endings to these games. The record, you could be running away with your division if you had finished half of them. But my question is, it's not an easy one. Do you ever consider, hey, sometimes the teams that aren't really good lose these games? That's why you're not finishing, that maybe the team's not good enough?
Well, we put the ball in the end zone the way we want to put it in the end zone, and we had it in the end zone. Obviously, that was determined that it wasn't a score, so we had to come back and do it on second down or third down, and we had it. To be honest with you, we had Beckham wide open on the second down play. There was just a little mess up in the protection, and Eli couldn't see right as Odell broke inside underneath. So, we keep trying, and obviously you don't want your defense to have to be in that kind of position with Tom Brady or some of these great quarterbacks coming at you, but that's the way it's come down. And I look back, and so we try to, again, emphasize the scoring of the touchdown.
Tom, with the extra time, have you been able to look and see how you might be able to improve this running game?
Well, we have. We've studied that, and, of course, we've studied the green zone because that's one area where our numbers are not great. Even the other day against New England, we were 1 for 5, but the 1 for 5 included a DPI that wasn't called, a touchdown that was called back, a sack fumble, so you can go on and on and on. And I'm certainly not making any excuses here, but those are the facts. We did study our green zone production. We studied our running game. And quite frankly, if our running game was better, we'd be better in the green zone. There's no doubt about it. So we've done a lot of research on that, and we always do. We start with what we call the worst to best, and we look at those areas that we're not functioning the way we should be, both offense, defense, and special teams. We spend our time on that. We research it. We also run it against the better teams in the league, those with, the highest percentages. And then we prepare it, obviously, to present to our players when they get back, and that's kind of what we spent the morning doing.
Are you surprised that after everything that JPP has gone through, he seems like he has really added something to your defense and has been a force? I mean, this is a guy who's playing with 3.5 fingers for the first time in his life and didn't have training camp or anything like that. Has he been more of a force than you thought he'd be?
I've always held out that he was going to be a force, so I don't think it's more than I thought he would be. What I'm very, very impressed with is his attitude and the way he came in here. He's had such a crisis in his life, and he's been able to deal with that. I think he's found peace with himself, but he was grateful for being back. He was grateful for being with his teammates, and he made an immediate difference when he took the field. A lot of it being, his relationship with the players on the defensive side of the ball. But, he demonstrated right off the bat he's in fabulous shape, and he still gets off the ball on a tremendous mark. And I think as games go on here, and certainly as he becomes more comfortable with the padding and et cetera that's on that hand, he's going to even be more effective.
The way you and the Giants handled that situation, I thought was great. It also showed the kind of family a football team is. So how did the family get affected by the news about Victor Cruz not playing the rest of this year?
Well, to be honest, it's a totally different situation, Don. And we'd been with Victor so many times that he had tried to come back and then was disappointed and felt very badly for him. He quite frankly, would become very distressed over the circumstance because he started to feel good, and it ended up that he could run straight ahead. But as soon as he started to cut, there were issues that immediately came to the surface. So, we hadn't had him for so long. He'd been with us in our meetings and working out on the side, et cetera. We were all holding our breath thinking that it was going to come, and it certainly was a very big disappointment. But you learn that somehow, some way, you've just got to keep playing on.
Giants head coach Tom Coughlin joins us on the Michael Kay Show. Your introductory press conference was famous, and you talked about the injuries, Coach, and not just the Giants. Every team seems to have these devastating injuries. Could it be because there's less contact during the preseason or even during the week? I mean, why is there so many injuries now?
We all wish we had the answer to that, Michael. That's a very, very question that's got to be even more researched, and answers have to be forthcoming, and perhaps we do have to go back and discuss why it is the players have to be away from here for so long, and when you get them, it's a hurried up fashion when you do get them because you haven't had them around for the extent of time for the strength program, or just to be able to meet with players, et cetera, et cetera. And then perhaps there is to be some discussion about being back in the pads a little bit more. In preseason, there's no issue with that, but there is the one-a-day practice. So there's a lot of things I think that have to be evaluated, and everyone is scratching their head, and whether it's concussions or soft tissue or whatever. Most teams have really done a good job, I think, of studying the science that's involved with a lot of these soft tissue injuries. And even though it may not look like we're making progress, I think we are. In the other areas, the concussions, et cetera, the knees, et cetera, it's just it's very, very disappointing, and you just shake your head. I mean, you know how professional football is and how tight we are in the numbers and the rosters, et cetera, and it's so critical. You pray that when you start the season, that you'll have your team. You can play the schedule out with the team that you've put together, and all 32 teams in the league are experiencing different levels of that not happening.
And Coach, it becomes so glaring because of the cap situation. You can't have real quality depth at every single position. So when you lose somebody, it just screams out that there's an injury.
It certainly does, and God forbid they happen at those areas where you do have an awful lot of your cap invested.
Yeah.
And as you say, you don't have the ability to to back those things up sometimes with the quality that you need.
Coach, what's a realistic impact Hakeem Nicks can make on this team?
Well, Hakeem is in outstanding physical condition, and I thought when he came in and worked out with us a few weeks back, he was in as good a shape as I'd ever seen him in. He's excited. He's humble, let's put it that way. He's anxious to be back and contribute. He's had to learn an awful lot fast, but we all know that in the pressure of the game and his ability to catch the football, because he does have, those great big strong hands that have always been a huge factor when in his play, that we believe that he'll make plays for us, and he'll become a factor the soon as we can get him comfortable with assignments and signals and all those things that go along with playing out over the ball the way we do the majority of the time.
Is Amukamara a go for Sunday?
He was given the clearance to go after the bye, so I'm looking forward to that being a reality as we practice this week, and he's excited about it too.
I know it's about wins and losses, but over the last 2 years, this year and last year, has Eli played any better in his career?
No, he's everything that we wanted in terms of doing some changing, obviously, in our offensive scheme, and having Eli just be totally captivated by the experience and wanting to be the factor with the no huddle and being able to change the play at the line of scrimmage and the number of things that he has to do under the pressure of the play clock. He's done an outstanding job.